Salutations, Utopians. Hope all is well in your world global here. Per Shams, big news out of the Big Apple. The New York Knicks are relieving Coach Tom Thibodeau of his coaching responsibilities fresh off of a shortcoming effort versus the Indiana Pacers, losing in 6 in the Eastern Conference Finals. Though the Knicks did get further this year than they did last year, leadership believed it was time to part ways. Um, Coach Thibodeau, 67 years old. He's made $80 million in his career. He's fourth all times in wins in New York Knicks history, passing the great Pat Riley. He was on the bench for Jeff Van Gundy in the 90s. In particular, I believe when they made their 99 run. I'm sorry, the 94 run with to the championship. No better franchise to end his career in the NBA coaching, if so, than the New York Knicks. Uh, from an X's and O's standpoint, when the Knicks made the trade for Julius Randle, traded for Anthony Towns for Julius Randle, there was some history already previously, um, and it didn't go so well with Minnesota. Uh, I believe President Leon Rose is now the last tenure, is the last piece now standing in New York. There's understanding that Johnny Bryant is a candidate, and right now he's rumored to be a finalist for the Phoenix Suns job. Um, Forgive me, I might be a little scattered. I'm just trying to package everything on the go since the news is fresh, and so I'm hearing the Knicks want to get in on that as quickly as possible. Um, Johnny Bryant's well respected around NBA circles. The interesting thing to me, why at first my impression was this is a guy who's just, he's up there in age and his health is, could use some more TLC, and, he's done everything despite not having a ring probably, but he's coached as many games as you could possibly ask for. But he is signed through 2027, 2028. And so there might be some leftover frustration. I might have underestimated the leadership, thinking that this was strictly a family operation now because they did fire him at the end of the day, it seems, or maybe it was a mutual step down. The way it was worded was, it sounds like the Knicks said it's time to part ways. Just knowing how it's a family environment, I think he was never going to make it to 27, 28 coaching. I think they just give him a little extra, um, like they do with anyone that's in-house. I mean, OG Anunoby's not a $212 million player, but when your son, is the player's agent, you give him you max him out, um, despite his injury history and, now establishing himself as a full-time perimeter threat. What other explanation is for that? When you're paying Karl Anthony Towns $65 million a year, and the coach philosophically has a very particular defensive scheme and is known for being a defensive coordinator, so to speak, uh, you know, uh, I just can't believe that they just thought, because Karl Towns has the potential to be with the Knicks for 10 years, even though he's 29. With the game he plays, the way we're watching Al Horford find a way to exist, even though Karl Towns defensively is more immobile than Al Horford is right now at 38, um, he has a place in the league, and so he'll have a place in the league. And being a local guy from Jersey, there's plenty of incentive to keep him around. But without diving too much into it, it's just very odd. We hear reports the Knicks locker room was frustrated with him even in the beginning of the year due to his drop coverage. Ironically, it's fascinating to me because he was named a starter for the East. So what kind of energy was in that locker room then, seeing that he's a starting center for the East, and then by the time they got to the playoffs, at the end he's playing power forward like he did in Minnesota, which is the very proof that obviously Minnesota didn't get as fleeced as everyone was trying to act like throughout the entire year. And so, he's, this is a guy, like I said, he's 67 years old. He's made $80 million in his career. When do you enjoy it if you don't go enjoy it now? But with that being said, I definitely think there is a little bit of finger pointing and scapegoating going on, but they're paying him handsomely to look like the scapegoat. The Knicks are gonna, through hell or high water, uh, be committed to that contract. I'm seeing a lot of people talk crazy about him wanting to see him get traded. I just don't think that's happening. I know with the Luka stuff, now you can't underestimate anyone getting moved, but ultimately at the end of the day, I just don't see how it happens. Carl is a young 29. I don't think he's ever had a real serious injury. Julius Randle was starting to get banged up more and more near the end. He even missed time this season, even though he proved to be the more valuable piece. The Wolves don't get to the WCF with with Karl Towns, the way the Knicks can get to the ECF with Karl Towns. The major accomplishment, they didn't get eliminated at home. They had to wait till 6 to get it against, on the road against Indiana. Whoever they bring in next, it could be Johnny Bryan, it could be Jay Wright from Villanova, who won all those national championships with Mikal Bridges, who's due for a contract of 147, I believe, this year, 145. He's got to step his game up offensively. He's got to establish himself as a legitimate presence in the paint. As a legitimate presence on the perimeter, scoring wise, there's no reason why he can't do a little bit less than what Kevin Durant is doing. With that mid-range ability and corner three capability, at one point leading the league in three-pointers made from the corner. But, it got so bad, I think also the fact that everyone kept going back to the Becky Hammon comments regarding Jalen Brunson. Can he be your number one? Well, yeah, he can be your number one, but who's his Luka? Who's his second-tier deferring guy to go to? OG and Mikal Bridges feel like they're more of an 18 a night scorer than they are 23, 24, 25 when you need it. They'll give you that once in a while. They'll give you that, in a 7-game series, maybe once or twice, but it's not guaranteed money. Brunson's going to, get his. And when you do see Brunson struggling, it's because no one else can get any of their own offense. From an X's and O's standpoint, this is where the business politics comes in. Because if you're Thibs, really the fast track way to have theoretically competed with the Pacers was connecting former Raptor teammates Precious Achiuwa and Pascal Siakam. Make them play defense. Make Pascal guard. Make Precious guard Pascal, and Precious can shoot the three at a low 30 percentile. Even if he makes one or two in a game, that automatically keeps the defense honest and aware of the threat. And you put that next to Mitchell Robinson. Remind you, Mitchell Robinson's the best offensive rebounding big in the game. That was the X factor. No way was Thibs going to be allowed to bench a $60 million, $65 million franchise piece, though. And so, but the approach would have been put Mitchell Robinson, Precious Achiuwa, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby. That's one thing Thibs got right, moving Hart to the bench, which Hart was saying from the beginning of the year, I don't know what my role is on this team. And then he got injured, and I thought the Knicks were going to get proactive about acquiring a four, but I guess Karl Towns is the hybrid four. But I would have taken the Larry Brown, Allen Iverson approach, 4 defenders and my go-to scorer, and we're just going to bang out like that. No one else needs to be dribbling on their defense in Indiana. No one else needs to be on our team trying to create. Just get ready to shoot. I'm going to let Jalen Brunson just go run an ISO. We're going to have a bunch of picks being set, and he's just going to do all the shooting, and we're going to gun it out like that, low-scoring, physical, half-court, old-school basketball. That's the only thing I think theoretically from an X's and O standpoint Thibs could have done or tried out versus the Pacers. Other than that, the one thing that could have probably helped the win, they weren't going to do because, like I said, it's business and politics. How do you look if Karl Towns isn't playing? Thibs, Towns got benched in the fourth the way Randle did. They both lost, on the road in the East and the West. It's a little bit too eerily, equivalent, but at the end of the day, the way you do it, you got to send the guy to the bench if he's getting exploited the way he did. I mean, Pascal won Eastern Conference MVP. So obviously that was the sore spot when you talk about what's going on with them. That was the disease on the cancer, the cavity on that team. And, obviously the Knicks didn't make the adjustment quick enough. But like I said, I think Tibbs got paid anyway handsomely. He's gonna get paid the next what is it, 2 3 years to sit out, enjoy retirement, and so we're not gonna cry for him. Guy made a shit ton of money for the with the Knicks, but he's obviously the odd man out. And then look for names like but Johnny Bryant, uh, Jay Wright. I don't know who else. I really don't. Jeff Van Gundy, possibly. You've seen him get removed from the booth. Now he's going back. You know, uh, then he went to the Celtics. Then last year he spent his time with the Clippers, and Lawrence Frank, who also has '90s ties to the game. And so, speaking of Lawrence Frank, played on the Magic as a player. They just did their jersey remodel. So kudos to them. Congrats to them. It is what it is. Uh, go Knicks. Whatever it is, what it is. Like I said, I don't have any care. This team, you see Hartenstein with the Thunder. You see Obi on the Pacers. Everybody has a piece of the Knicks on their team. So what does that tell you? The Knicks could have been won a chip, as far as I'm concerned. So the business is the business. Ownership is battling bankruptcy, uh, and so um, there's no emotions, and it is just what it is. Again, I wasn't even going to talk about the playoff run or the team when they got eliminated, but here we are, kind of surprising the league circles that he's getting fired or they're parting ways. Hope this video was informative, Utopians. Till next time, Global out.